Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. Today, Hezbollah escalating its warfare against Israel, firing a missile today at Tel Aviv in its deepest strike yet. Israel striking back as both sides keep up their attacks. And Prime Minister Netanyahu promises they will keep up the fight. President Biden telling the UN that international alliances must remain strong to deal with Russia and Iran, while also once again calling for a Palestinian state. China ends its international adoption program. We'll look at what's behind that decision and its potential impact on American families. And with more and more people living to 100 and beyond, we'll hear their secrets to a long, happy, and healthy life, including from one believer who reads the Bible for hours each day. These stories and much more today on NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
And we begin in the Middle East, where Hezbollah launched a missile at Tel Aviv today, their deepest strike yet in Israel. Hezbollah claiming the missile was aimed at Mossad headquarters, and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu insists his country will keep attacking Hezbollah to stop nearly a year of rocket attacks. But as Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, international pressure is increasing to stop the fighting.
For the first time in the war, Hezbollah fired a ballistic missile at Tel Aviv, which was intercepted by Israel's David Sling defense system. The attack represents an escalation by the Iranian-backed terror group. Despite being battered by more than 2,000 airstrikes, Hezbollah continues to launch hundreds of missiles into northern Israel.
Today, 300 rockets were fired at Israel. 6 civilians and soldiers were injured, most of them lightly.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu again spoke to the Lebanese people.
I say to the people of Lebanon, our war is not with you. Our war is with Hezbollah. Nasrallah is leading you to the brink of the abyss.
Hagari said Israel eliminated Hezbollah's commander of rockets and missiles, responsible for thousands of attacks.
Fighter jets of the Air Force hit precisely one floor in a building where he was present along with other commanders in Hezbollah's rocket unit.
Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant says Israel has now eliminated nearly all of Hezbollah's top leadership.
The Hezbollah of today is not the Hezbollah of a week ago. The sequence of blows it faced in its command and control, its operatives, its weapons, all these things are extremely severe blows.
The Lebanese foreign minister says the number of evacuees from southern Lebanon is nearly 500,000. At the United Nations, Israel's ambassador put the blame for all this fighting on Iran, which controls terrorist groups like Hezbollah and Hamas.
We will not let Iran's terrorist cronies dictate the future of our nation.
President Biden, speaking at the UN, called for a negotiated peace in the region.
Hezbollah, unprovoked, joined the October 7th attack, launching rockets into Israel. Almost a year later, too many on each side of the Israeli-Lebanon border remain displaced. A full-scale war is not in anyone's interest. Even as the situation has escalated, a diplomatic solution is still possible.
And Chris Mitchell joins us now from our bureau in Jerusalem with more. Chris, we'll talk more about Netanyahu's speech to the UN in a moment. But let me ask you first, what's the significance of Hezbollah launching a missile all the way to Tel Aviv?
Well, during this war of attrition, Wendy, it seems like Tel Aviv has seemed to be off limits and sort of the unwritten rules of this war. But it would seem after getting hit in so many ways, Hezbollah had to make a statement. As we reported, they said they were targeting the Mossad headquarters there in Tel Aviv. But it doesn't carry the same weight as it might have a couple of weeks ago. It certainly does show that Hezbollah still has some long-range ballistic missiles in its arsenal. And Hezbollah is continuing to fire as we speak, like heavy barrages north of Haifa. Even right now, dozens of interceptions over there. I also want to show you, Wendy, what a lot of people have over here is an app called Red Alert. And even now, right now, you get alerts of exactly what's happening. This is just about 20 minutes ago. So from different places all over Israel. Many people have these in Israel and around the world. Just gives you an idea of how many rockets are being fired by Hezbollah into Lebanon. And those rockets are less than a 2-hour drive here from Jerusalem. And so all of that area is an active war zone.
Yeah, 2 hours, less than 2 hours. That's too close to home. Well, what was Israel's military response to the missile attack on Tel Aviv and other strikes?
Well, first of all, Wendy, it says it's taken out that particular launcher that fired the ballistic missiles. And the IDF, as we reported, it's continuing to pound launch sites and campaign just to destroy this huge arsenal that developed over the past 20 years of ballistic missiles, drones, and UAVs. Overnight, they conducted a series of strikes on terrorist targets and throughout southern Lebanon. And actually, now they've reportedly hit a target north of Beirut. And that would include weapons storage facilities, launchers, and additional Hezbollah terrorist targets. And then we keep seeing these secondary explosions, which shows that a large amount of weaponry is within many of these civilian buildings throughout southern Lebanon. They've really turned, and this is what the IDF is saying, really turned southern Lebanon and all these thousands of civilian homes into terror bases and that area into a combat zone.
Chris, why are some saying that a ground invasion of Lebanon is more likely now than it was a few weeks ago?
Well, you know, Yoav Gallant mentioned that in our report. The situation on the ground has really changed significantly in just the last 2 weeks. Hezbollah has been weakened dramatically. First, they had the pager beeper attack. That's left thousands injured, many blinded, a number of dead, many disabled. It's disrupted significantly their communications. You know, the top leadership has been eliminated. Gallant said as well, Nasrallah is sort of alone at the tarp. The missile and the rocket arsenal, that's been reduced dramatically. And Nasrallah himself, his leadership has been weakened. So we're given all that, the risk of invasion for Israel may be less now than it was just 2 weeks ago. On the other hand, going into southern Lebanon really does carry tremendous risks. But on the other hand, how can Israel avoid a ground invasion if they want to succeed in their goal, which they said made an official war goal just about a week ago, to get 60,000 Israelis or more to go back home in northern Israel?
Chris, we know a lot about Hamas, but talk about Hezbollah. Who are they exactly, and what is their ultimate goal?
Well, Wendy, they were founded in 1982. They're a Shiite group allied with Iran. And Shiite Islam, as opposed to Sunni Islam, is a big difference to make. The main difference is over who would succeed Muhammad, the prophet, 1,400 years ago. So there's an intense division within the world of Islam. But for Hezbollah, as a Shiite Islam, their goals are to export the Islamic revolution out of Iran and to expand Iran's influence in the region. They want to build a Shiite axis of power as opposed to the Sunni power base in the Middle East. And they want to establish an Islamic state in Lebanon. They want to eliminate Israel. They want to liberate Jerusalem, where we're speaking from right now. It's all part of their military and ideological agenda.
And finally, Chris, what more can you tell us about what to expect from Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech to the United Nations tomorrow?
Well, I think the first thing Wendy has to confront, which is a growing chorus of international opposition to Israel's war with Hezbollah. For example, the State Department has, quote unquote, concrete ideas to de-escalate the situation. France, which is has a long history with Lebanon, wants the UN Security Council to discuss the war. Netanyahu will reiterate Israel's war is not with Lebanon, but with Hezbollah, and he's going to point to Iran as the source of the war. Also probably call for the implementation of UN Resolution 1701. That was supposed to keep Hezbollah out of southern Lebanon. And also, Wendy, he usually has a prop. He did that when he described how close Iran was to a nuclear bomb. So that's one of the things we can expect as well.
It's going to be a great speech, no doubt. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thank you, as always, for your insights. Please stay safe and know, Chris, that many people are praying for you and our staff there in Israel. Well, coming up, we'll hear more from President Biden's speech at the UN Tuesday, including his warning about Iran and his call for a Palestinian state. We'll have that story when we come back.
Download the CBN News app. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Watch CBN News Channel Live. CBN News, because truth matters. Get the CBN News app today.
President Biden told the United Nations Tuesday that strong international alliances are needed to stand for freedom against aggression from Russia and Iran. And he again repeated his call for a Palestinian state. CBN's George Thomas has the highlights.
As Israeli bombardment continues across Lebanon, President Biden used part of his speech at the United Nations to urge both sides to embrace peace and agree to a two-state solution.
Where Israel enjoys security and peace and full recognition and normalized relations with all its neighbors, where Palestinians live in security, dignity, and self-determination in a state of their own.
Biden also addressed the threat posed by Iran, which backs both Hamas and Hezbollah and is reportedly racing to acquire a nuclear weapon.
Together we must deny oxygen to its terrorist proxies, which have called for more October 7th and ensure that Iran will never, ever obtain a nuclear weapon.
The president also touched on U.S.-China relations, saying both countries need to make sure that trade rivalry does not escalate into something more dangerous. On the Ukraine front, the White House continues to condemn Moscow for its attacks against civilians. The Kremlin increasingly relies on short-range ballistic missiles and drones from Tehran, as well as North Korea, to wage its brutal war against Ukraine. With Ukraine's president listening in the audience, Biden called on the global community to stand firm against Moscow.
We cannot grow weary. We cannot look away. And we will not let up on our support for Ukraine.
This was the president's last address before the assembly as he prepares to leave office in 4 months amidst global tensions on multiple fronts. The upcoming election in 40 days is shaping up to be pivotal, particularly with the stark contrast in foreign policy views between the candidates. A new survey shows voters are clearly divided on the U.S. role in the world. According to the Institute for Global Affairs at the Eurasia Group, 58% of Harris supporters think the U.S. should maintain or increase forces overseas, while 58% of Trump supporters said the U.S. should draw back. George Thomas, CBN News.
Thanks, George. Still ahead, how a decision in China could affect families in America as the Chinese government has ended that country's adoption program. We'll look at the impact that could have here in the U.S. right after this. Welcome back. Well, China has ended its international adoption program, stopping all pending cases at any stage and leaving many families in limbo. Over the last 3 decades, more than 160,000 Chinese children have been adopted abroad, many by Americans. Charlene Aaron takes a closer look at what's driving this decision and its overall impact.
This is a tragic turn of events.
Jed Medifind, president of the Christian Alliance for Orphans, tells CBN News China's move puts hundreds of American families in limbo, leaving them heartbroken.
There are many folks out there, including some dear friends of our families, who have walked that road for many years. They have actually been matched with a precious child and have been anticipating traveling to bring her home. And at this point, it looks like that will never happen.
China's foreign ministry spokesperson saying, "We are grateful for the desire and love of the governments and adoptive families of relevant countries to adopt Chinese children," adding the only exception will be for families who are adopting the children or stepchildren of blood relatives in China. The U.S. State Department is still seeking clarity on how this change will impact those families, already in the adoption process. China's government began allowing international adoptions in 1992 out of concerns of overpopulation. Its one-child policy often forced families to abandon children, especially baby girls and those born with disabilities. Now faced with one of the world's lowest birth rates, China is reversing course, joining a global trend including countries such as Denmark, Russia, and Norway. Metafind still worries about the children affected by the decision.
Even though they've closed the door to inter-country adoption, these children aren't being welcomed into families. They're growing up in institutions, they're growing up on the streets. And so that is really the profound challenge.
Some taking to social media to express disapproval of the news. As a person who was adopted from China by an American family, this is truly heartbreaking. I cannot imagine a life without my loving family, Jackson Arcuri commented on Instagram. It is a gap Metafind hopes the church in China will be able to fill.
My earnest prayer is that the church in China, which is substantive and continues to grow, will really step up for these children in China, that they will be willing to consider the very countercultural choice to welcome a child that has special needs, that is an older orphan, that may come from a sibling group.
A prayer many believers hope to see answered for so many children in need. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, more than 100,000 Americans are at least 100 years old, and that number is expected to quadruple in the next few years. We'll tell you why, and we'll bring you their secrets to a long, happy life when we come back.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning, the CBN News Quick Start Podcast. Each weekday morning at 7 a.m., get quick highlights of the day's important news. Then an in-depth analysis that goes beyond the headlines. Insights that matter to people of faith. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Find the CBN News Quick Start Podcast on iTunes or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts, because truth matters.
Many people want to stay healthy and live a long, happy life. One of the biggest questions is how to do it. Medical reporter Lori Johnson sat down with a woman who's now past 100, and she says her love for the Lord only grows with age.
Heavens, no.
Just weeks before turning 102, Mary Shai never dreamed she'd still be on this side of eternity.
It's just what the Lord wants, so you don't argue about that, you know. When He's ready, He'll come get me. He's got something here for me to do. I don't know what it is, but when He finishes with me, then I'll get to go home.
Still sharp as a tack, Mary worked at an accounting firm until age 88. She also lived alone for 40 years until just 3 months ago, when she moved in with her granddaughter.
She's spunky. She has an incredible sense of humor. She takes things very lightly. She's very kind. A lot of people will say, like, does she complain a lot or any? And she doesn't.
One secret could be that Mary remains active by regularly going to church, getting her hair and nails done, plus taking care of household chores, like laundry and washing dishes.
So I think there is an element of determination that she's got, just the will that I'm going to figure this out and do it.
She also prepares many of her own meals, like her daily bacon and jelly sandwich.
And she loves paydays. That's her little, can you give me some more paydays?
Part of her daily regimen includes her favorite red wine, but just a little. Most notably, Mary reads her Bible for hours each day, as she has for years.
Oh, every time you read it, you get something new out of it. I don't care if you read it 1,500 times.
She's not afraid to die. In fact, looks forward to it.
Heaven is going to be so wonderful that who in their right mind, if they know about it, are going to be the least bit concerned about it.
While Mary's longevity is impressive, she's not alone. There are over 100,000 American centenarians alive today. That number is expected to quadruple in the next 30 years. That's largely due to a projected population increase combined with longer life expectancies.
These people actually have the physiology, have the workings of a 50-year-old individual.
Dr. Stephen Gundry says, like Mary, many centenarians are very healthy and have been throughout their lives.
What we know about super old people who are thriving is that they don't become infirm, that they don't get cancer, that they don't get Alzheimer's.
Gundry credits that to lots of good bacteria living in their intestines.
When we look at 105-year-old people around the world, they carry the diverse gut microbiome of 30-year-old people.
Another common characteristic is they take few, if any, medications. Mary's on just one.
Doctors say exercise, especially walking uphill, promotes longevity. In fact, the 5 world cities with the highest concentration of centenarians are all very hilly. Turns out Mary lived much of her life in the Smoky Mountains.
Genetics and a positive attitude also factor in.
I've had a very blessed life.
As well as the unknown.
Our days are numbered. Our times are in the Lord's hands, and I think so it's that. And I don't know how it all works, because you can be 50 and fit and the Lord call you home, or you can be 101. So those things are up to the Lord.
And while we won't all live to 100, we can all benefit from the wisdom of someone who has.
Don't tell me that Jesus doesn't take your hand and take you home. And you'll never convince me that that's not what he's going to do for me, too, one of these days. For all of us that know him and trust in him.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
One of these days, but not yet. That's a great story. Thanks, Lori. That's going to do it for us. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Let us know what you thought about our stories. You can email us at newswatch@cbn.com. Reach out on social media. I'm at Wendy Griffith, Wendy G, CBN on X. We'll see you next time. Bless you.